Hi. Okay, so today I'm out on vacation in a different location on a walk, and I've been thinking about sickness and when we identify with being sick, when we identify with our illness, with chronic illness, when we identify with our diagnosis, when we identify with feeling terrible, being the one, feeling not good enough, not loved, lonely, isolated. When we identify with suffering, when we identify with pain, physical pain, loneliness, emotional pain, when we identify with all of it, and I'll just wrap this up. When we identify, it's either like when you can wrap it all in a bundle of illness, or you can wrap it all in a bundle of suffering. So let's just say suffering. When we identify with suffering, okay, it's like we're living a normal life at one point. This is the story. We're living a normal life at one point, and suddenly this illness or this suffering comes upon us, an event, something happens. It's like we're in a little village and we live on top of this little hill, and suddenly a tsunami comes, right? A big, huge wave comes and takes our house when we weren't expecting it, takes everything around us, pulls us out to sea, and we're drowning. We're drowning in suffering, in loneliness, in isolation, in sickness, in illness, in pain, in destruction, in all our hopes and dreams being ripped away. We're suffering in all of it, all at once. And we're out on this ocean and we're nearly dying, right? We're nearly dying. It's desperate. It's desperate out there in this waters. The tsunami, has ruined and taken everything from us. And suddenly we see a dock, much like I'm sitting on now. We see remnants of a dock, a life raft, basically. And we climb on it. And it is tumultuous out there in the ocean. It is ripping and roaring, and we're floating, and we're lonely, and we don't know where we are. But this raft, our identity of illness, our identity of suffering, our identity of self-protection, and cutting off and isolation, and cutting off from the world and protecting ourselves. This is our raft. It's like our life raft, and it is saving our life. And we hold on to it for dear life, much like we do to our illness and our identity. Now, one day, we wind up after this long and tumultuous journey on this raft, just you and this raft, making it through the days together. It becomes your friend. It becomes part of you. It becomes your life, maybe, for years out on this raft. And suddenly you sort of roll up to shore and you get off the raft, and you have to make this journey, back to civilization. Maybe you're far away, and it's going to take months or a year to hike back, and you see the map, or you don't see the map, but you know that there's rivers to cross and maybe small lakes like this, but you're sure there's no tsunami coming again. Some rivers you're going to cross and you're going to wade through, and they're going to be tough, but you're going to be able to walk through them. And some lakes like this, you don't need the raft. You can probably swim it, but it's going to be hard. But what we do when we have identified for so long and we've made this raft our friend, our lifeline, unmeaning, we don't want the raft anymore. But what we do is we get up and we start to carry the raft with us. We carry it with us on our journey, walking, so that we have it when we go over those rivers, so that we have it when those lakes come. And we're afraid to drop the raft, because it saved our life and we might need it again. And maybe we're not sure, that a tsunami's not going to come again, so we want to carry this raft, and we're injured, but the raft is weighing us down. It's weighing down our journey. It is, this is a metaphor, right? It's weighing us down. It's keeping it hard. It's keeping things difficult. It's making us suffer in other ways now as we carry this raft and drag this raft with us. this raft of self-protection, of isolation, of loneliness, of suffering, of sadness, of guilt, and of shame. But it's our friend. It was there for us all those nights, and we're afraid to drop it and say goodbye to it. But at some point, we must be brave enough to set down the raft and brave the journey without the raft, knowing that there may be waters ahead that we have to brave without this raft, but that it is going to be easier if we drop the raft. And when we say goodbye, it takes a brave heart. It takes a brave heart to say goodbye to that part of yourself. It has become part of your identity. All those days and nights that you took this raft with you. It's like looking through an old photo album. There's me and the raft. We went on a picnic together. There's me and the raft at Christmas. Oh yeah, I remember. There's me and the raft at the birthday party. There's me and the raft, on vacation last year. There's me and the raft, with my kids. There's me and the raft. It's these memories, and it's part of you. It has become part of you. And it's hard to say goodbye to this thing that was with you, this part of you that persevered, that had to wall off, that had to get hardened, that had to fight, that had to endure. And it's hard to say goodbye to that part of yourself, but you have to say goodbye to the hardening edges, those parts that were hard, those parts that had to endure, those parts that suffered, those parts that were lonely, those parts that were cut off. But if you want to make the rest of the trip in life, you've got to say goodbye, and you've got to be brave enough to set down the raft, even though it's true, you could still need it. And it's hard to say goodbye to it, even though you want it gone, even though it's the only thing you want to do is drop the raft, because it's tiring, it's heavy, and it's a long, long way to carry a raft. So this is kind of what illness and suffering is like after, when it's chronic. And we're not even sure anymore. Do we need the raft? Do we not need the raft? Is it part of us? Can we separate from us? Can we let it go? Have we become the raft? How do we say goodbye? Is the raft following us, or are we carrying it? There's all these questions. But we have to be brave enough to recognize them, answer it, and say goodbye to those part of ourselves, the not so good part of ourselves that we feel we're not good enough, that we feel we're too lonely, we're unlovable, we're filled with shame, we're filled with guilt. These parts of ourselves, we have to be brave enough to let them loose, to cut them loose, to drop them, and to go on the journey without it, without the baggage, without the weight, without our life raft, and be free again. Be free again, and know that we are resourceful enough now that if something should happen, if the waters get too rough, we can find a new life raft. We can find a new way. We can, we want to join back into the world, and we want to let our life rafts go. We want to find new ways of belonging and being in this world. So I know this is kind of a weird one, it's kind of a metaphor, but as I was on my walk this morning, and all these docks that I'm walking past, little life rafts, and these lakes that are, maybe too far for me to swim, but I could swim if I had to, and just got thinking about the whole burden and weight of what it takes, and, to be ill for so long on this journey, and trying to see, can I set down my life raft? Can I walk away from it? Can I be brave? And can I say goodbye to parts of myself that have helped me endure, and open my heart, let my heart crack open again, let the beauty and joy and love and other emotions in. Is it possible? And so these are the questions I've been asking myself this morning, and I just wanted to see if any of them resonate with you.